Hello, everyone. Dr. Victoria Scorpio here from the Seeds of Transformation Healing Center in Wareham, Massachusetts. And back by popular demand, we have High Tea with Dr. Vicki and Reverend Denise. Hello, Reverend Denise. How are you today?
Hello. Hi, Dr. Vicki. Wow, it's a joy to be with you. And this is lifting my spirits already. Being around you just lifts my spirits. I didn't start off real spirited this morning, but I'm feeling better since my interaction with you. And it's been a energetically pretty rough week, actually, off and on for a while now. But 1 week ago, I woke up in the morning and I went, life is great. I love everything that's going on in my life. Since then, I could make you a list of shit things that happened. It's been a little trial. It's been a little bit of a trial, I have to say. One thing that I'd like to bring up is that I have students and clients and people I teach and whatnot. And whenever they find out somehow, either by talking to me or by seeing a post I put up or whatever, they find out that I've had a down moment or a down day or a down week or whatever. They're like, but you know how to fix all that? And I go, yeah, and I am. But some of it takes a little bit longer than others. And I'm fixing it. It's all fixed already. I'm just moving into the fixed part. Takes me a little minute to get into the fixed part.
Isn't it great?
I still have to work. Why do people expect me to be something less than human? I mean, more than human. I meant
Denise. Nobody's expecting you to be more than human, but you know that.
Maybe I'm projecting. Okay, I'll take that.
All I have to be. No, it's okay. I mean,
it is okay.
It's all okay. I'm, as I was saying before we actually started to record. Hi, Cookie.
Cookie.
Wookie.
You see something outside. Yeah. It's okay, baby. It's okay.
Before we started to record, I was saying to you how, most of the time I seem to be able to stay on a pretty even keel with things, even when things, puff up and, but
blow up.
My best efforts in a few situations were just would normally like ease the tension or help bring some, I think, level of understanding. Just I lost my magic this week. I guess I'm not as magical as I thought I was.
But you are still perfect, right?
Well, we're all perfect. We're all perfect in who we are. Everything is perfect because
perfectly imperfect human beings.
Perfectly imperfect, right? I mean, if we were perfect, we'd be gods, and we are God. There's a part of us that are gods, and
there's a part of us that's always perfect.
But there's also a part of God that's imperfect. So we're all evolving together. It's not, we're not just like little minions down here on the earth plane, like the seven dwarfs, in the thing. Getting mining the gold from the earth, right? We're not just that. We we have many levels of our beingness, and
many levels of our beings are on different dimensions at different times too.
Right.
Bringing in
and different
energies.
Different. If all time occurs at the same time, then we're living simultaneously. Like when we talk about our past lives, they are not necessarily past, they're simultaneous, right? They're simultaneous experiences.
It's a really hard point to even talk about, but for many people to understand that we have an oversoul, and at the same that's like the over who we are, and we've got all these other dimensions that we live on at the same time.
It's almost like a hand coming down. If we happen to be in the pointy finger, and our consciousness is here, this is what we're aware of. When we raise our consciousness in things like meditation, then we have access to these other sort of almost like spider webs. It's almost like playing the web of our connections. I don't know.
Of our multidimensional being.
Right.
Yeah.
And all of that holds within it. All of that can be held, I think, in a maybe psychic construct, or just the idea that that's open to us, that there's a door that's open for that experience, that people can, if it's like if you're in a locked room, which life can feel like very often, right?
Sometimes.
And you look around and there's no door. If you see a door, even if it's not open, at least you know there's a door. And I think that a lot of the work that you do and a lot of the work that I do is just letting people know that they have choices and that there are other doors of perception that if meditate or, go through the process of how to open those doors, they can be opened. And it makes life on earth a lot um,
Manageable, more manageable.
more manageable. I wouldn't say it necessarily makes it easier, but
No, but it just gives you some tool. I know that one of the major things that I do with people is help them remove the veils that they have, that have been created throughout their lifetime, veils of lies, deceit, trauma, addiction, abuse, programming, cultural programming, familial programming. That stuff covers up and makes us feel like we're trapped for a bit, especially when any one of those things gets triggered. And when sometimes people come to me saying, I have spirituality, but it's not working. I have tools, but they're not working. Nothing's working. And they're blocked. They're just blocked from being able to see what other options are. So little by little, that's a lot of what I do is I help people open their own doors. I help people find another perspective, another framework. I help people reframe what's going on with them, because sometimes what's going on with them is mirroring something in the macro, or it's mirroring something from their past. So what I help them sort of figure out what the etaology is, and then we work on, okay, that's good. We've identified some stuff. Let's get to work. And then I have a lot of different skills, and I teach people different things. And when they get clarity on something, it's a joyous event, because they feel like, boom, yeah, woohoo. And then they feel great for a while. And then the next thing comes up. And really, life as a human being, a spiritual being in a human body, is pretty much like whack-a-mole a lot of the time. It's really a lot like whack-a-mole. You get one thing down for a while, and then another one pops up, and the more times you've whacked that mole and learned the lessons, the better you're able to learn you learn eventually how to handle the stuff that comes your way.
And then eventually you learn that you don't have to whack the mole. You just have to know that the mole is in the hole.
Right. Okay. Oh, there's a mole.
You have to be okay with the mole in the hole.
You're such a poet, Vicki. Such a poet.
Didn't even know it. Oh, shoot.
So yeah, and do you agree that the energies have been pretty intense lately? I love that cackle. Was that an understatement? Is that why you're laughing?
As you know, and the people who watch us know, the astrologer in me is saying, yes, of course, right? We have a new moon in Scorpio. That
hit me. Oof.
Yes, that
whacked
exactly
me around a little bit.
That new moon is exactly opposite Uranus, and Uranus is the unexpected, and it can be the unexpected response, the unexpected action, the unexpected. I know that, without getting, and this is not to talk about personal stuff at all. I know that you had an incident with somebody that you generally, while you didn't agree on everything, you generally had a good relationship.
Oh yeah.
Right. And then
bond. Yeah.
All of a sudden they just
but they flipped into something from the past.
They flipped into their issue, I guess I want to say, right?
Yes.
From what we discussed on that one. And you had to, as somebody who understands these things, you had
and who loves these people dearly from from a transpersonal as well as a personal level.
Right. But you had to bear witness to it, and yet it was very, it still at times feels like an attack. And it's hard not to take it personally.
Mhm.
It's really hard to not take it personally, but to hold a space for the person who is expressing what needs to come out. And that Scorpio is really about really delving into those deep psychological underpinnings that we have. And so we may find that while, and even with people that would normally not take issue with us or take issue in general, they're going to be more sensitive at this time. And then of course those who take issue are also, of course, it's almost like you expect those people to like get in your face.
I
But
generally, people that often take issue, I'm avoiding right now.
it's probably a good idea.
I have enough on my plate right now. I'll deal with them a little later. I can't deal with everybody all the time. I
Right.
have to be very selective.
Advice for the day: if these are people who are easily triggered already, stay away from them. And the
Just for
people
now,
who,
just for a while.
just for now, just to sort of step back, because there is a certain amount of I guess there's a certain amount of reflection for us as well. I mean, even though you understood in your situation what was going on, it did reflect to you a sense of, or a way of being, or a feeling that may not serve you anymore, right? And so you have to let go
Oh,
of
it
that
was,
part of it, right?
that was an experience that was destined. It was for both of us. It wasn't just, it wasn't a one-way thing.
Of course,
There were
right.
so many interlocking pieces and so many commonalities. And I just saw something from another person's point of view, which triggered some stuff in me. But because I was able to, instead of getting angry, I just went to compassion, because I was able to do, thank God. I mean, not that when things happen, that's not the first thing a lot of people go to, but because I dearly, dearly love this person, somehow I was able to, through a panic attack, through a crushing experience, really an energetically crushing experience, I was able to rise above. And I want to tell you, I was working on 3 or 4 dimensions at the same time. It was an amazing experience. If I can step back and look at it, it's like, wow. I transmuted all kinds of stuff, and had got clarity on a bunch of stuff, and now recognize that I have some conversations to have with some people at the right time. So much came out of it. It was painful though. Still is.
Yeah. I think Scorpio really is the proverbial can of worms.
Absolutely.
So yesterday and the day before, I spent some time with some old friends of mine. We have an old friend. I've known this woman since she was um 15. I think I met her.
Mm.
And now she's 51, I think. So I've known her all those years. And
Wow.
she lives out of state. So she came in to visit with another friend of hers, whom I'm an acquaintance with, and friendly. I don't see her a lot. I don't talk to her a lot. But when my friend's in, we hang out together and we have a great time. So we had this little like pajama party with, and I was the oldest at 60. And my 2 friends are like 51 or 52 or something like that. And it was funny, like the kind of things you would talk about in the old days compared to the kind of things you talked about now.
Yeah.
Some of them were similar and funny, and some of them were like, remember when we could actually do that kind of stuff. So, but it was a fun time, and it was very healing. We on the new moon, we just sat around the living room. She had she had a lovely living room, this woman. And she's a Cancer. She's a Cancer, so everything in the house is like blue and white and gray, and it's like you're on the beach in her house, right? And then the house is on the beach, which is kind of cool.
Ooh.
So but what was go ahead. I hope I didn't lose my point. Let me think here. This would have never happened 30 years ago when we used to hang out. Now I lose my point.
I'm taking a
But
mushroom tincture for that.
you know what? I think we have some mushroom soup that Michael made from from mushrooms we got in the yard. So
Oh, nice.
I'll have to have some of that. But we just like sat around and talked about our lives and some of the more challenging things that we've been through over the years, and a real sort of like opening up to um, the mistakes that perhaps somebody else might judge as foolish, but come to an understanding of why we choose the things that we choose, and why we have the experiences that we have. And one of the things that I noticed is that, we're all at different levels here. And one of the women was very much, I think, willing to let go of self-judgment around the issues. And she was somebody who didn't, like, from the outside in, looking in, you're like, why did she make that choice? Why did she make that choice? Why did she make that choice? But on the other side of those choices, she has learned so many valuable lessons. And she was willing to be in that place, while the other person was a little more reticent about going there. So we're all kind of at these very different levels. And I think it's important for us to hold the space for each other.
Yes.
Without judgment.
Yes.
Without judgment.
I personally would not want to be judged from any given age or stage in my development, because when I've been at some pretty funky stages at different times, and if people only remember me from that and see me through that lens, they don't see me, because I'm not that anymore. And
right, but many people see themselves through those particular, oh, you were promiscuous when you were 20, so the cultural set of eyeglasses would say, oh, what a slut, right? But there's another sense of, and this is just an example. This was not neither one of my friends was this conversation.
This is hypothetical. Okay.
This is a hypothetical thing, but it's like, well, like, what's wrong with wanting to explore your sexuality, to see what feels good and what doesn't feel good? If it's something that you yourself want to explore and you have agency over that, it's your right. It's your body.
If you have agency, if you can say yes or no, then
right.
And it gets respected either way, then I have no.
But those are also parts of the lessons.
Oh yeah. Oh, I had to learn some really hard lessons in that area of my life. I had to learn boundaries did not come easy to me. And I grew up in an era, I'm a little older than you, but you may have experienced this too, where men, just a little, where men really did have dominion over women. My mother was subjugated to my father, and that's okay. That's what it was. It was what it was. And I was raised that men are going to misbehave and you have to put up with it. That's how I was raised. So I put up with an awful lot of bullshit until I learned how to grow through that. But I had to experience a lot of trauma before I got to the point where I was able to say, no more, I'm done. I'm done. It took me a long time actually to stop putting up with certain types of inappropriate physical gestures, sexual innuendo, sexual come-ons, that kind of thing. It took a long time to have complete dominion over my body, because I wasn't raised to have it. I was not raised to have it. Well, I was raised to please men. That's how I was raised.
Geisha. No, just kidding. Yeah. Maybe, but I think that's, that's certainly something that, perhaps maybe in America now there's less of it, but it's certainly worldwide. I'm not sure how much it's changed worldwide. Well, when you average it all out, right?
It's changed. We've grown, I would say in a general way, we've grown a lot, but there are many, many pockets and cultural groups. And I'm not talking about religious culture or racial culture. I'm not talking just, I'm going to say maybe more family type patterns that that are still being dropped in certain family patterns and still being dropped into the younger generations. And some families have more of that stuff than others to cope with. One of the blessings of being the age I am, which is 64, and you're hitting this age, is I get the benefit now of seeing how all my mistakes served me. And when I look back, all the things that I would have considered mistakes were not mistakes. They were part of the journey. Right. And I had to have everything that happened to me happen to me in order to understand what I like, what I don't like, what I want, what I don't want, how I want to be in the world, how I want to be in relationships, how I want to have friendships, et cetera. It goes on and on. If I hadn't had all the experiences that I'd had, both positive and negative, I would not have evolved but I was determined to evolve. That's the difference. I was determined to grow, and I was determined to get myself out of pain, and I was determined to break patterns. This was a determination that I had from a very young age, and I didn't know how to do it at first, but it took a while. I didn't have any support. I was all alone with that for a long time.
Right.
And now I have a lot of support.
It's so very Capricorn of you.
I'm very Capricorn.
Very Capricorn.
But when some people have I just want, as an aside, isn't particularly related to this conversation, but I'd like to just tell the world that Capricorn, if you read the shit in the newspapers, and you only read Sun in Capricorn, and you don't really know much about the whole chart, people think we're captains of industry, we are organized, we are structured, we are this and we are that. And I have a lot of those qualities. I wouldn't say I'm a captain of industry yet, but maybe someday. I'm not closing myself off to the possibility. But the thing is, there's so much more that goes on in a person's life. And there's so many more influences that all those can be mitigated, and they are mitigated in me. A lot of those Capricorn things are mitigated by for example, my sun in Aquarius.
Your ascendant.
That's what I meant.
Yes,
and I didn't
know.
Say that. Yes,
I know.
You know me. And the Venus and Sag lightens me up a lot, and thank God for those things, because if I didn't have a few of them, I would be one dead effing serious lady all the time. I wouldn't be able to break out of myself. I would,
you are for the most part pretty serious.
I am.
You're serious minded. You take your responsibilities. You feel responsible for things, and you are responsible for things.
Nowadays, it's mostly for my own things, though. I don't really feel responsible for other people like I did growing up. And
right. Well, I think that's it's kind of like maybe the Cancer spent, like, because I have a son in Cancer. The Cancer spends their first part of their life, making sure they're taking care of everybody, and then the next half of their life they have to make sure they're taking care of themselves so they can survive the next half of their life.
Well, being as sensitive as Cancer is, and Capricorns have both of us, Capricorns and Cancers, have many skills in terms of walling up, shelling up, hiding in our holes, not letting other people see what we're really feeling, until we blow, one way or another, either through tears or anger or whatever. And we can never go on face value with anybody. My point is really that people have a particular persona that they present to the world, which isn't always who they really are. It can be at times, but it's not always who they really are.
Yeah, I think I'm guilty of that as well as.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we all are. I think I wouldn't even call it guilty. I personally have learned over the years, and it's been a hard lesson. I don't know what made me so mushy in my chart, but I had this tendency to bring in all these sad people into my life and try to fix them. I wanted to fix all the sad people. I wanted to nurture all the unhappy people. I went through that for a good 20 years of my life, from teens to, I don't know, 30s maybe. oh my God, did I collect people that had problems? Yikes, I collected them and I really wanted to help them. And it was really like, oh, I want to help you. Now I meet these people I meet people like this and I run for the hills. I'm like, you know what? Unless you want to do the work with me, I'm happy to do the work with anybody, anyone that tough, easy, whatever. I mean, do the work with me or stay away from me or do the work with somebody else. And then maybe we can be friends. But if you're doing the work, it's different.
I think that, I take what you say and I see the patterns even in my own life. I think that we attract those people because they're reflections of ourselves.
Yes.
And we have to come to terms with that. We have to come to terms with the sad child and the addicted child or person. All these people who have.
I wasn't taught how to take care of myself. So I think I was vicariously taking care of myself through all these other people, but it didn't work. It's not an effective strategy for my own personal growth.
But it does, but sometimes that is, God helps them who helps themselves, right?
Yes.
That very well could have been the lesson that you were learning.
Oh yeah,
in
absolutely.
those situations, right?
Yes,
So
yes.
So, I like to say everything serves because I truly believe that to be the case. I don't think that, and it sounds maybe a little kitschy or a little just like a cliche, but it's not really. It's a real observation on my, from my perspective.
It's a truth. If you talk about the law of attraction, and a lot of people believe in it now. A lot of people follow the law of attraction, try to live by some of those principles.
I'm not sure it's about believing in it. I think it's about being aware of it.
Well, being aware.
And then utilizing it.
And then using it.
Woo,
when I look back on my life, the times that were the darkest were the times that I felt the darkest, and I brought on more darkness. I was attracted, because of how dark I was, I attracted darkness. And the light, and when I had times in my life where I felt lighter and I felt filled and I felt satisfied, then I brought more of that in. So the struggle has, and it's not as much of a struggle anymore. I'm pretty happy with myself 90%, 95% of the time now. Maybe more, I don't know, a lot. I'm happy with myself most of the time. So now I draw in people that are the coolest people, like my clients. I have the coolest clients. I have new friends I've made over the last couple of years. Even in the last 6 months, I've made a couple of fabulous new friends. And I attribute that to the fact that I am more at peace with myself, more comfortable with myself.
You're vibrating at that level.
I'm vibrating at a higher, and higher and lower sounds so judgmental because everybody's where they're at, and that's
finer, maybe a finer or more.
I'm going to say more informed and
informed. I like that. More awareness.
My awareness is expanded.
Consciousness grows through an expansion of your awareness.
Yes.
So that's why a closed mind doesn't work. I mean, that's so I want to bring.
Can't go far with a closed mind. It doesn't take you far.
Well, yeah. Let me talk about that. Because we talked a little bit about what's going on, and of course we can't avoid what's been going on in the outer world, right? Because it is a reflection of this very thing that we're speaking of. And one of the things that I have noticed through the Trump administration, and I have been guilty of it as well. So I've been on both sides of this argument. And now with COVID and with the vaccines and the masking and the mandates and all of this other stuff, to me, it seems like it's, these are the lines in the sand, right? Right? These are the lines in the sand. And the lines in the sand, luckily they're in sand, because if the water comes over this, the lines go away, right?
Right.
And what's the water? The water is a water of compassion.
Right.
I have people who are very close to me who do not agree, and vehemently don't agree with my perspective or my choices or whatever it is, whatever. But of course, they are of the ilk to say it's your choice and you do what you want to do with it.
Right.
But it's very easy to judge people by who they voted for or what their opinion is on a specific issue. And I think that we have to actually just stop doing that. I don't think it
Yeah.
helps anybody. I
Well,
think we have to understand where that person is at.
Mhm.
We need to understand why they make those choices. Now, we don't have to do that with every single person, right? Because we wouldn't have any time to do anything else.
No, we don't have to
Certainly
assess, we don't have to assess anybody. I think our biggest job, and as spiritual people, and there are spiritual people that don't act. I'm going to back up a second. The divisiveness, the judgmentalism, the almost mass hypnosis that's going on regarding the polarization, regarding all the stuff around COVID, is so insane. And the mainstream media is propagating, this is the right way to be. This is the right way to be. This is how you're supposed to do life. So a lot of people believe that. So what's ended up happening is that perfectly lovely people with perfectly valid reasons for not necessarily being in agreement with the mainstream have become the scapegoat. And now we're a country of apartheid. And it's not, we could talk about apartheid on many levels, but I'm just going to mention it on this level. The vaccinated and the unvaccinated, and the people who believe in mandates and the people who don't believe in mandates. We have people that don't believe that they should get the shot, but might feel okay about everybody else getting it. In fact, most people that don't want to get the shot feel that it's fine for everybody else. Go ahead, you do what you want. I'm not anti-vax. I just personally, for whatever reasons, and everyone has different reasons, feels that it's not right for them. Now, they don't condemn anybody. They just say, I'm not condemning anyone. Please don't condemn me. But that's
Well,
not
there
what's happening.
are people who condemn people for getting vaccines. They call them.
There's a
They call them
percentage.
lemmings. They call them,
Sheep.
Sheep and all that
Sheeples.
stuff.
Yep.
So, it
So
works on
demeaning.
both
So demeaning.
sides. So it
Well,
works
it's
on both
true
sides.
that of the unvaccinated, there's different reasons for people. Some of them, it's completely political, because somehow they believe from back when in the Trump days that it was unpatriotic somehow to, wear a mask and get vaccinated and be socially distanced and all that kind of stuff. That
Well, I think there's a lot of people in that place, and we're talking about back then, right? Who just don't like the word no, and don't want no being said to them at all. They feel like
it's a small fraction of the unvaccinated and the people that don't believe in mandates. That's really not the biggest part.
This was before mandates. This was the Wayback Machine, right? This was the Trump machine. You're not going to tell me what to do. You're not going to, you want to live in this. You're not going to tell me what to do.
Yeah.
We have to take into consideration that we live in a society with other people. And sometimes you have to do things that you don't like to do in order to live safely in a society with people. Now, of course, we could argue as to the efficacy and the safety of the vaccine, which we're not going to do, because that would take like 12 hours, which we don't have.
I'm not interested. It's too
exhausting. And not quite interested. I am no scientist, but I do trust science. And I do not trust, well, I can't say that. I was going to say,
I'm discerning about science, because I think I think scientists come to varying conclusions, and researchers come to varying conclusions, doctors come to varying conclusions. And if you're not looking for the other side, you don't find it, because it's not in the mainstream media. In fact,
I think the science that I'm talking about, and is like cutting edge, virology, or cutting edge genetic science. I mean, these people do know what they're doing. Now, do they know all the possible
permutations?
What could happen in the future? Is this completely safe? Is it not safe? I think at a certain point, we need to have a little bit of a leap of faith with that stuff, especially when it's absolutely new. Now, I am not one, me, I don't I've never gotten a flu vaccine. I've never gotten
shingles. I got a text from my pharmacy to get a shingles vaccine. No, thanks. No, thanks.
I think the
Give me
actual
another day.
the last vaccine, well, I did take the COVID, and I had many reasons for doing that. But before
And they're
that, I think
valid.
the last vaccine I took was my rubella umbrella when I was like 12 years old. So I mean, it's not my thing. I feel like I need to be healthy. I need to, sometimes I do better than others with that. But, I have an agency over my body, and I, choose what I put into it. And those choices make me responsible for the health and welfare of my body. Right. But, sometimes things come along that are new and your body's not quite ready, or you quite know what to do with it. And you're playing the odds. And that's my feeling about it. But I wouldn't hold it against you if you didn't feel the way that I felt, or use the same,
Right.
That's
the key to
criteria.
peace. That's the key to peace, is to just say, you know what? Everyone has a right to live their life the way they see fit, whether we agree or not, whether we like it or not. Everything happens for a reason.
Right. And I don't really, I don't really think that's the issue here. I think what the issue is what information are you getting, and who's giving it to you, and who has a vested interest in what they say. That's something that you have to, every piece of information that comes in through you, whether it's through cable TV, or it's through your feed on Facebook,
or through alternative media,
or through media channels that you trust, or through friends who are getting their media other places. One of the things that the internet has done is it's given everybody a voice, but not every voice is equal, because not every voice has the information necessary to make the decisions. So to a certain extent, I think we do need to trust those people who, I would not necessarily trust a lawyer to tell me how to fix my car, even though they may have a nice car and they've changed a few tires.
You know what I'm appreciating right now? I'm appreciating along the same topic. There are some doctors that are coming out who are also researchers, doctors that have a practice who also do research. Trying to remember the guys, there's a couple of names. I'll see if I can come up with the names. One of them is Dr. Livingood. He's a little crazy, but what doctors are coming out, and the Rome doctrine that the 8,000 doctors signed, saying cause no harm. The thing that's coming out now that I'm excited about is more, in fact, it was validated by the fact that they approved of a pill that helps mitigate the symptoms if you do get COVID. One of the things that these doctors are saying is whether you take the vaccine or not, whether you get COVID or not, these are the important things to do. And they say, they suggest what kind of supplements to take. They suggest what kind of a diet to take. And if you're immunologically suppressed, how do you handle that? What's the best way to mitigate your risk? They're talking about whole health.
Holistic, yeah.
They're talking about looking at it from a broader perspective. Instead of saying it's only the vaccine or not the vaccine, they're saying people have choices, people are making choices. So let's help everybody. Let's give everybody something. So now doctors have committed, some doctors, 8,000, I think, across the world have signed this document that said they will no longer refuse to treat COVID patients. What's going on with doctors is they go, you got COVID, and then if you get sick, go to the hospital. Or if you get sick, give me a call. And then they call and they say, oh, you better go to the hospital. And which is why the hospitals got overblown, because no one was treating it. And the society.
Well, nobody in the beginning really knew how to treat it.
Well, there were some, President Trump got treated. And thus, that's not true, in my opinion. I think that there were maybe there are experimental treatments, maybe they weren't FDA approved, so not everybody's going to want to take them. Maybe they work, maybe they don't. I'm not saying I believe in them. What I'm saying is doctors gave up because they were told to give up. They were told hydrochloroquine's stupid, which it might be. I don't know. I'm no scientist. I'm no doctor. I'm not even making a stand on any given treatment. But what I'm saying is doctors now, this whole huge bunch of doctors are working together to do research to help everybody. And there are some nutritional sort of holistic doctors. There are some research doctors. There are emergency room doctors, all different family doctors, all involved.
Well, I think,
How can we help everybody, no matter who
Right.
they are? And they're not judging whether you're vaccinated or unvaccinated. They're saying, who are you and what do you need? And they're taking a holistic approach, looking at the whole person and saying, okay, and making recommendations specifically for that person, no matter what their status is. I don't think the vaccine is the fix. I think it's a good fix. I think it's worked for millions and millions of people. I'm not anti-vax at all. What I am is, let's look at the whole person. And
well, let me just say something while you're saying this. And
sure.
I'm been a chiropractor 30 years, so I'm all about, the whole person,
Yeah,
right?
I know you are.
I mean, honestly, right? But sometimes when you're in the city and they're dropping bombs on your head, the only thing you can do is duck for cover. And that's and then what do? How do you fight back? Right? So we fought back with a vaccine, right? And many people took it, many people because vaccines do have, there've been many times when we've had these diseases that take out, hundreds of thousands of people. Vaccines have been developed for those and have saved many
Do you really think
people's
this is a
lives.
vaccine though? Really like the old type vaccines? Because even people that are vaccinated get COVID, even people that are
Well,
vaccinated
it's not
spread
the same,
COVID.
it's not the same science. It's the idea of vaccination. It's the idea of protecting yourself against something that you're not aware of how it's going to affect you. It would be like if there was acid rain and you went out without a raincoat on.
Do you think that it's a vaccine though? Because it doesn't seem to work for everybody. It makes some people sick and people that are vaccinated get COVID anyway. I see that as a treatment that mitigates the problem for many millions of people. Thank God. The shots work for millions.
Well, I don't.
There are some people that it doesn't work for.
Let me finish. And again, I'm not an expert, so this is just my own understanding. Vaccines do not stop. There has to be a certain amount of people who get it, so that there's the herd immunity, and there's all of that as well. It's not just the vaccine. The vaccine isn't the be all and the do all, but it gives us a better chance of surviving something that for many was unsurvivable.
Well, I agree with that, with the polio vaccine, with the mumps, rubella, and diphtheria vaccine, with the tetanus vaccine. It helped to eradicate those diseases from the country. COVID's still alive and well.
Because it's new, honey. We've had
polio,
right? We've had
novel.
polio.
It's a novel virus, right? We're still trying to figure out how to deal with it. Yeah.
Right. So that's the thing. It's not the fact. I mean, yes, there are many flus, there are many diseases, there are all of that stuff. And, keeping yourself healthy and unstressed out, good luck with that. Anyway, keeping yourself healthy and unstressed out is going to help with all of that. But if it's not something your body recognizes, what a vaccine does is it says, hey, there's a new kid in town, and if you see him, don't go near him, right? That's kind of the idea behind the vaccine. And it is different science, but it's cutting edge science. And it's not the same like putting the dead vaccine in and sticking you full of dead or half dead. It's a whole different technology. And it is really a technology of how they're going to do a lot more vaccines when more of these and of course we're going through earth changes, right, for many reasons, and we're overpopulated and the animals are coming closer to us, and these are things we haven't been exposed to before because the peoples were in one section and whatever
animals had their place.
Right. So, and there was interaction, but not to this extent that we have now. And we have to learn how to live in harmony on the planet with both the viruses, and then of course there's the idea that a virus is a way of evolving. It helps us to evolve. One of the things that COVID is teaching us is that we have to be kinder to each other. We have to be kinder to the planet. We have to be, we have to take our responsibility for ourselves. We can't expect that if we're sick, we're going to run to the emergency room and we're going to survive because the technology is so good, but we're not willing to take care of ourselves. So there's a lot of lessons to be learned here.
There are. I agree with that.
And COVID has been a giant lesson for us. It came in on a 55-1 Ace of Swords vibration. And so
what does that mean?
The Ace of Swords, choices, requiring us to make choices. And some of those choices are hard to make. Yes. And there is a certain amount of separation with those choices, as with every choice. As soon as you make a choice, you separate yourself from the other options, right? Mm-hmm. So people are making choices. My only issue with people making choices is that they're getting the information that they need to make a good choice. And that, for me, is the bottom line with that. And so I don't have an issue with your decision or anybody else's decision, but if they're not, and I say but, which I shouldn't say, because that means I don't agree.
It negates what you're trying to say. Yeah.
Yeah, it negates. I just hope that they're getting and on a certain level, you have to trust the experts because they're the experts. You don't have to trust the drug companies who profit, but you need to trust the scientists because, I've been a doctor for 30 odd years. I've never met a doctor, chiropractor or otherwise, who didn't have the best intentions for their patients. Mm-hmm. But that being said, they didn't all have, I had any number of doctors that said, oh, don't go to chiropractor, they'll kill you. Do they understand chiropractors? Have they been to a chiropractor?
Were considered weirdos when I was growing up. It was like, have
they discussed it? Do they understand the whole? Yes. Okay. So you may not subscribe to the fact that the spine, the alignment of the spine, brings health and well-being, which of course the chiropractors do. But it doesn't mean that there isn't science to back it. You just don't know the science. And so I just, my biggest issues is that there's opinions and there's facts, and they're not the same. I think you need to know the facts, and then you can derive your opinions from the facts.
There's another way of looking at it too, Vicki. Another way of looking at it. There are a whole lot more people on the planet now that are awake and that are receiving intuition and guidance, and that trust their guidance, and they don't all fall into the same category by any means. I'm not saying that all people that are intuitive are falling under any given category or making any given decision, because they're not. I think that I believe that people get intuitions about things, and I know this is not scientific, but I know you're going to understand it. It's not traditional science, it's metaphysical science. I know that what I believe in, I'm going to attract. And I know that, and I trust when I have a really strong intuition about anything, I know that I'm better off when I follow it. I know that it's for my best interest. And this is something that many people will not agree with. They'll say, you're just making shit up. You're just making stuff up. You're just going with you're just saying, oh, well, it's my intuition. Well, no, it's real. Intuition is real. And there are some people that their intuition is so powerful, and they may or may, they've studied this, all the different sciences. They've listened to things, listened to people, listened to CDC and all that. And they still can't bring themselves to get the vaccine. And it's not because they're uneducated. It's because they have this gut feeling that it's not right for them.
Right. And
I think, to me, that's just as valid as anything else.
I know. I respect that.
Yeah, I know you do.
I respect that, but I
wanted to bring it up for the viewers, because for the viewers that are saying, I don't want the vaccine and I can't even tell you why, I just know I don't want it. Well, you're probably listening to your intuition. And often if it keeps coming up, despite the science, despite what your doctor says, despite whatever's out there in the media, you still keep coming up with a no after a period of time, then that's an intuition. And I don't fault you for following it. I would never criticize someone, and I know you're not either. I know you're not. I know you're on the same page here. I would have to say, well, if that's your best feeling, your strongest intuition, then you have to go with that. There's not, why are people losing their jobs from the mandates? Why are people choosing not to get vaccinated and lose a $800,000 a year job? Why are people willing to sacrifice so much not to get a vaccine? There are reasons. There are reasons for that.
I think for some people there can be there's an intuition on that, and I think some people are coming purely from fear.
True.
Just like people are coming purely from fear who are getting vaccines.
Fear is a big thing on all sides.
And why shouldn't it be? It's a scary effing world out there.
It's a scary world.
I almost said the F-bomb.
That's all right. I've said some bad words today too, so.
but not on camera.
No, I did. I said.
Did you?
I said the SH word.
I
said the SH word.
Oh, did you?
Okay, so let's. I thank you for that discussion, and I thank you for your respect for all. Even though you have your strong opinions, you don't judge other people, and I really appreciate people that have their opinions and try to remain open-minded about why other people make different decisions. Personally, I'm just going to come right out with it. I have some underlying medical issues, and my doctor does not want me to get vaccinated right now. My doctor feels that I'm in one of those risk categories.
Yes.
So my doctor knows me better than Dr. Fauci, knows me better than any of the other doctors that are out there touting or politicians that are touting.
And you have to understand that they're doing it for the collective. They're not doing it.
No, I understand.
You make the choice.
Right. And that's my point, is that I might be more inclined to consider it if I didn't have a doctor saying, I told him, I said, I have a feeling about it. I have a feeling like it's not good for me. And I have a feeling that it's not the right choice for me. And he said, tell me why. And he opened up my file. And I said, well, I have this thing. I have this paradoxical thing. I have this immunological thing. I have this, I have ulcerative colitis. What's that called?
Autoimmune.
I have autoimmune issues. I have issues with medications. Like I have a lot of medication allergies and stuff like that. So I have about 5 different risk factors that make me a good client for waiting and see how the rest of it, how the data comes in and all that.
Right.
But it's so strong. It was strong inside of me before the doctor told me that. And when he told me that, I'm like, okay, now I feel validated. Now I feel like that's why I don't want it, because my body knows. I trust my body. I trust my body to give me the right signals. But not everybody's where I'm at. And some people are reacting out of fear. Some people are reacting because someone's trying to make me do something I don't want to do. Yeah, I get all that. There's some misbehavior going on all around, but that's okay. I love them anyway.
Again, this doesn't come out of nowhere. This is a lesson for us all to learn how to live with each other. Mm-hmm. And
everyone deserves compassion, even if you don't agree with them. Everyone deserves kindness, even if you don't agree with them, unless they're bashing you, and then you
just can't expect to get it back from them. So
no,
don't have any expectation.
You can't. You won't. Believe me, I know. There are many people in my close network that think I'm being an idiot for listening to my doctor and not getting the vaccine. But what I am doing is following other doctors who are holistic doctors and getting a lot of science from them. And I'm getting a lot of nutritional advice and supplement advice. And I'm taking all the recommended supplements. I wear a mask all the time. I socially distance all the time. And I'm willing to do that because I want to be a responsible citizen. I am not an irresponsible person. I don't want to catch anything, and I don't want to.
Plus, you're protecting yourself.
And I'm protecting others to the best of my ability.
Like my feeling, if I could, if I would, is that if you don't want to take a vaccine, then you have the right not to do that. Now, if you're in a situation where you're working at a place and they require that, then the decision is this work, is in some cases, intuition, my understanding in other cases. And now they're asking me to do this. Is it worth it? I think for a lot of people,
It is worth it.
the mandates, well, I think for a lot of people, the mandates are like, well, if I have to do it, I'll do it then. Right? If they tell me I have to do it, I have to do it.
30% of the population doesn't agree with you.
I'm not said some. I'm not saying
I know.
all of them.
No, I'm just saying that there's so many different ways of looking at it, and we just need to have kindness and compassion for everybody. Everyone has their reasons, and I don't like everybody. I don't like the way everybody acts. There's a whole bunch of people that are acting up, and I'm not fond of it. I'm not fond of it. People acting out and being hard on people and being mean, and not fond of that. Not fond of it. No, I'm not fond of it. I wish people could learn how to be kind and say, I completely differ with you, and because of that, I don't want to be around you. Thank you. And just end it there. Just end it. Then have an ongoing battle, talk about them behind their backs, try to turn other people against them. That's what's going on, and it's very sad. Very sad.
Well, I had an incident in the family, not my family, but the family around me, which extended family, I guess. Well, Michael's family. And we didn't get invited to a wedding because my husband's unvaccinated. And I said to the person who, in the family, I said, well, you realize that the person who's at the most risk is Michael. Because, as the science goes, this is a person who's vaccinated, and to her, on her end, her husband died of COVID. So you can understand.
Yeah.
You can understand the concern.
Understand that. Yep.
Right? But there was no conversation. There was no like, oh, sorry, we wanted to invite you, but Michael's not vaccinated. I hope you understand. Nothing. Just no invitation at all.
That's the kind of thing that's happening. That's sad to me.
Right. I mean, that's the
and at least have a conversation and say to the person, this is how I feel, and this is what I need to do. And I respect you, but I feel the need to do this. And they have a right to do that. Right. They have a right. But I think when you love somebody or you care about somebody, it's nice to try to find a way to discuss it that's reasonable and compassionate. We don't have to fight when we're different. We can be reasonable and articulate and respectful. And that's my big thrust. That's what I want to teach. I'm going to do a video on it. How can we be respectful toward people who differ from us? I think it's the biggest. Jesus hung out with the prostitutes and the crazy people and the sick people and the lepers and all that. And, he took a lot of risks to show what love is all about and what compassion is all about. And I'd like more of us to try to emulate that type of life where there are people we like, people we don't like, people we agree with, people we disagree with, people we vehemently disagree with, people we vehemently don't even like. There are people I don't like. I don't like them. I prefer not to be in their company. I prefer not to hear their voice. I prefer not to watch them on video, whatever. I have a right to my preferences. And, but I just take the kinder route, which is I unsubscribe or I unfriend, or if there's someone I care about, I say, you know what? We can no longer discuss this issue. This is off the table. If we're going to be friends, we cannot discuss this issue. And I've had to do that with a number of people and say, this is, it just upsets me and it doesn't help our relationship. It hurts our relationship. So
I had to do that with my own husband. I cannot talk to him about any information about the vaccine or anything else. He does not want to hear it. And I have to, I'm not, me, I like to discuss things. So it's harder for me, but that's his choice. And, he makes it, and he may be right. He may be right. And so I'm open to his rightness about the situation.
You're open to the possibility of his rightness.
The possibility of his rightness. And
that's a beautiful attitude, Vicki. I love that. I love that. Why can't everybody be? You and I don't even see 100%. We see, fairly eye to eye, but there's not 100% eye to eye on this. And you're very kind to me and you don't judge me and you still want me to be your friend. And, you get it, you get it.
It's a silly reason to lose a friend, quite frankly.
It is.
There are much better reasons to lose a friend than that.
There are many reasons. There are many good reasons to lose a friend. This isn't one of them. No.
That's not one of them.
Or politics is the other one. Politics is the other one.
Well, there's something about politics, though. I will say this. There is something about people's choices around politics and who they want to lead them.
If it says something about character, then it's a different thing.
About them.
Yeah.
It says a lot about them.
It can. It can.
People who supported the Orange Judas, which is what I like to call him. Compassion wasn't a priority.
No.
Women's rights were not a priority.
There wasn't any compassion coming this way from that person.
There was
no listening either. No listening.
Cruelty was the point. When I would get attacked by Trumpsters, they were purposely cruel, and they would purposely pick you apart for being sensitive to other people, for your compassion. They would make fun of you for your compassion.
I have been vilified for my compassion. I have been vilified.
On both sides. On the side of, the Trumps, and being an choosing not to, I don't want to say anti-vaxxer because that's not what you are, choosing not to have the vaccine, it puts you in a category. It's not commiserate to being a Trump person, even though even though they seem to want to lump that stuff together.
I know they do. Isn't that weird?
Well, it simplifies things. It's always simpler to have a simple foe. And you just say, well, if they're this, then you make all these other ideas or decisions about them. Just like I just said, if you choose Trump, you don't have any compassion. I have people in my family who are very compassionate and they chose Trump.
Well,
that could be my bias. I'm like,
there's a certain amount of mass hypnosis that goes on with charismatic figures that we can't.
Well, certainly with him. I mean, he's been hypnotizing America for like 40 years.
And that's the 80s. And the need for the mandates, I think, is in part somewhat of a mass hypnosis too. I don't think the mandates are. I don't believe in them. I don't.
Well, you don't.
I'll just come right out and say it. I don't.
No, I understand.
Not an anti-vaxxer.
You don't believe in them.
If you want
yes, you don't believe in them. Yes, let me.
Up.
Okay. I don't want to shush you.
Thank you.
I'll get spanked.
Spank you. I might want to, but I wouldn't.
Yes, I agree with that. I mean, I understand that. It's that they're putting these in so that things start to move again, and the economy starts. It's not simply to keep people safe. It's to get things moving again. Unfortunately, things are not ever going to be the same. So we're never going to get back to where we were. And thank God, because it sucked, man. It sucked. We were doing, right. We're clogging the ocean with plastic. I mean, how much, I mean, I look around in my own life, all the stuff I have around me, I don't need 95% of it. I really don't. And yet I have it, and I've spent money on it, and I put energy into it. You don't really need that. And we're going to be living very simply, I think, as the future rolls on. And what's very, very important to us is we're going to have to really come to terms with what is essential in our lives. And if, political agreement is essential to a relationship, then that's a choice you're making. Now, it may be the choice you have to make, and it's the choice that brings you peace of mind. Everybody has the right to their choices. The vilification, no matter what it is just because you don't agree with me and I don't agree with you, is no reason to lose love.
To lose humanity.
Well, humanity is kind of fucked up, honestly. I mean,
being
human, right? Being human isn't all about compassion.
Well, no, but people have free will, and people have sort of inherent rights, and I think that.
Well, you know what, you say that, but I think,
in actuality, many don't.
I think bears have inherent rights, and I think trees have inherent rights. And I think we all need to learn to live in harmony with each other.
Did you read
You
that
know,
piece on living like a tree? I think that nature has so much to teach us.
oh no, I mean
There's a whole
everything.
thing on living
Everything
like a tree.
about me is trees. Hey,
I
check
know.
my shirt out.
I love your shirt. It's beautiful.
This is for everybody to remember as we go through this conversation. Just breathe.
And you know what? This too shall pass.
Yeah.
The Depression passed, and slavery passed, and all these horrible things that the United States has gone through. Many of it has passed. Some of it is passing, isn't quite passed yet, but moving in that direction slowly. Some of it's not passing at all yet, but it will.
Well, you know, I think we can't expect anything from humanity or a country or a leader or any of those things unless we deal with our own self. Because it really just starts here. I mean, we're all just like, you know, we're all we're all like a little like microscopic, like, you know, when you look at the microscope and you see, like, we're all looking at something.
From the
And
universe's perspective,
the
we're a grain of
person,
sand.
right, the person who's actually looking at what's in the microscope is the divinity, right? Is our divine nature. So we're all like living this together. And if we can practice compassion, we can practice compassion. And when words fail, I think that's when it's especially important for compassion for love to come in and take.
And sometimes the most compassionate thing one can do is to separate energies from those that are mired in dissension and contention. Sometimes getting like temporarily or permanently, you know, keeping distance so that one can keep one's own sense.
Well, you want to be in the vibration that you're in. So if you're in a certain vibrational state, you are not, you know, if you are not in a vibrational state that believes in that a spirit could come in and take over your body and you need to be exercised, no dark spirit's going to come in, because you can't.
No,
it just doesn't work. Everything is frequency. And so these people who are saying, I will not get vaccinated because my intuition states that it is not good for me, and you do what you want to do, then, you know, that's you, they have to go with that. And that has to be respected, whether you believe it or not, or whether it fits into your, you know, your microscopic picture of, you know, and everybody has their own.
Everyone has preferences.
Well, not just their preferences, but their level of understanding of things. Like, I have a little bit more of a understanding of science because I was an effing science major and I was a doctor for 30 years. So I have a level of understanding of those things that other people do not. And maybe I don't have the level of intuition that other people do, but I don't deny them that that's what they're doing. I ask, but I have to ask, and maybe it's just personal for me in the situation that I'm in. The person that I have to ask is always very sure of their intuition. And for the most part, I've seen it work for them, but I also know that sometimes their greatest block in life is the fact that they're not open to other people, to other facts beyond their own.
Just because someone's intuitive doesn't make them necessarily well-rounded or open.
It doesn't make them right.
No, not always. No,
Not always. But there has to be a willingness. It's just the willingness to be open to an alternative that you may have not, right, been. And
I think that I'm in a unique, people like me, I'm not going to say just me because there's a million of us. I'm in a niche. And I'm a metaphysical science person. I'm not I'm not much of a medical science person. And I have extensively studied metaphysics. I've extensively studied self-healing. I extensively practice all kinds of metaphysical healing, as well as holistic physical healing. And I think that my perspective is very valid because it's what I know, it's what I believe in, it's what I practice, it's how I live, it's who I am. And I think that I'm naturally going to have a different opinion or a different preference than someone who is more science-based, more earthly science-based. And I don't think they're mutually exclusive. And I think they can inform each other. I think that they can, there are ways where we intersect. And God knows science and metaphysics and science and especially quantum physics and metaphysics are just coming together all over the place. I mean, there's all kinds of places where they're meeting now. And I think that I might be on a little bit of a different wavelength than some people. So a lot of people are not going to understand me, and they're not going to accept me because I am on a different wavelength. And that's okay. They don't have to. And I don't think scientists, I don't think natural physical scientists are wrong either. I think that everyone's we're all walking each other home. Everyone's doing the best they can.
I think certainty is important, but I also think that absolute certainty is dangerous.
Oh, I can only act with certainty about me. I cannot act with certainty or advise with certainty on anybody else. I cannot act in anybody else's field. If they invite me in, if they say, I really want to hear what you think, I really want to hear your opinion, I will share it. If they don't ask, I'm not giving it because I don't want to influence anybody else. I want everyone to make their own choices. I really, really, really do. I will never convince anybody not to get a vaccine. I would never convince anybody to get, either way, don't get a vaccine, accept the mandate, don't accept them. It's not my business what other people do with their own energy. It's not my business. I can have my own preferences and make my own choices, and everybody else has to make their own. And I respect everybody. I really do. And it's sad that I have family members and friends that have exited to some extent or another, some permanently, some, maybe not, because of these things. I just think it's a rotten reason to lose people. I really do.
Well, but then sometimes it's time to lose people because
in some cases it is.
You can't keep everybody. You can keep everybody in your heart, but you can't keep everybody in your life.
It is, and I think that's probably what's hard is having to let go of people. It's not an easy thing. It's
and we had and this new moon in Scorpio that we just had, and the full moon coming up, which is an eclipse, is going to bring that home for many people.
Yep, it is. It's bringing it home for me that not just because you're biologically your DNA has a lot in common with someone doesn't necessarily make them someone you need in your life for the rest of your life. And that's really, really painful. It makes me want to cry, really.
Letting go isn't for sissies, let me tell you. Evolution isn't for sissies.
Not at all. The ascension process isn't for sissies. I hate to see the division that's going on everywhere, but part of the deal. I had a feeling this was going to happen today.
Well, we are, we're in a dual existence, and we have to, part of the realization of the necessity for unity comes with the experience of division.
If we don't know division, you don't
know unity if you don't know division.
Yeah. And you don't know non-compassion if you don't know compassion if you don't know non-compassion. And this is the part of the law of polarity in this time space continuum. It's every topic has wanted and unwanted for each individual person as well as the collective. And that's how we live as humans. That's how we manage. We're in linear time. We're in a different everything's different about humanity than it is the rest of the universe. There's nothing that's the same here and I think that part of some of the people like me who are really into metaphysics find the density of this planet so hard. It's hard. You know what? We probably ought to end because I'm not doing too well right now.
All right, hold on 1 minute, okay, honey? I'll be right with you. Okay, so we're back.
Hi, everybody.
Denise had an opportunity to collect herself, and it is, Denise, I had a meltdown with my husband. Not a. I should let me make a caveat. We didn't have an argument, and I was, breaking down. He saw that I was very sad, and he asked me, because usually I can, even if I'm sad, like I don't put a happy face on if I'm sad. I don't do that. But if I'm sad and I can find something happy to be happy about, I seek it out because, I'm a Cancer. I'm sad all the time. I don't want to be crying all the time, right?
Oh,
So,
no. And you know what? I don't cry that much. I really don't.
know. I
It's
know.
very unusual for me.
I'm actually honored by your tears. I am honored by your tears because they are so heartfelt, and you do really feel, as an empath, the pain that people are going through. And there's pain that's necessary, and then there's pain that's unnecessary. And I feel like there's so much unnecessary pain.
I really do. It's and I think I'd like to give a shout out to all the transmutational empaths out there. That what you just saw was me pulling in all this energy of whatever division and
collective,
hatred, the collective's energy, running it through my body, kind of, and also it clicking into some of my own personal experiences, and my whole nervous system reacted. And this is what we do. Now I recover from all this. I recover. It's not a permanent condition, but it's something that I have to put a few things in place for. I have to have ways to cope with it. And if you're a transmutational empath and you find yourself feeling what other people are feeling and running it through your own energy system and not knowing what's going on, half of what you're feeling is probably somebody else's. So try to cut that piece out and try to focus on what you feel.
Well,
focus on what's yours and what's somebody else's, because it's too much to take on everybody's. And as you could just tell, I really did take on a lot of other people's stuff, and that happens, and that's okay. It's okay. It's not fun.
I was taught through my teacher that always ask if it's yours.
Good idea.
Is this me? I have this pain in my knee. I never had a pain in my knee before. Is this me? And if it's you, the pain stays. If it's not you, the pain goes. And the guy next to you, sitting in the bus next to you with the bad knee, you're like, oh, that's his knee. I see. Then he walks out, he gets up from the bus, and he starts limping out the bus. You're like, oh, that was the guy.
That was him. So energy really travels, and
if you're sensitive, and if the thing is, if you don't mind me interrupting, which I love to do, the thing is that we're all becoming more sensitive. And sometimes our upsetment is not our upsetment, but it's the person next to us.
Yes.
But we may not have experienced that before, because as the energy gets finer and the density falls away, which is what's happening, the density is becoming less dense, it's harder to discern what's yours and what's not. Mm-hmm. And then with the power of media and our attention, like really the power is in where we put our attention and where we put our focus.
Energy goes where attention flows.
Energy flows where attention goes. Same difference, same thing. But right, but it's the thing. So we were on very serious subjects. Yes. And this was a very serious talk.
Yes, it was.
So much so that you cried. And I didn't, which is amazing. But anyway, so talk to me about MetNet, because I am excited that I am going to be the first presenter for your MetNet, and that's happening on December 1st. So
yes,
me, baby girl.
Well, Vicki will leave my website on the comments. It's onemindspiritualservices.com. And on the homepage, there's a bunch of stuff. And then the second part of the homepage is the Metaphysical Network. So read about it. It's been in existence since 2008. And its mission is to do networking and educational programming for the community so that people can learn stuff, meet their teachers, meet their friends, meet their soulmates, and collaborations can occur. It's so people can it sort of broadens the base, broadens the community base of like-minded souls. And it's a beautiful thing. It used to happen all in person. I've done it in offices, I've rented spaces, I've done it in my living room, I've done it in big halls and little halls, and now it's virtual. So everyone can come. So
everyone can come, and
everyone.
I don't have to drag my big board with all the things written on it.
Vicki has been was who I consider a founding member. She came in very shortly after it was around the same time that it was evolving, that it was beginning. And Vicki's was one of our most treasured presenters every time. We always had a good crowd. And so now that MetNet is going virtual, we're really excited because we have a broader reach now online, and more people can experience these type. And this will be a Zoom. It will be interactive, meaning you will get a chance to ask some questions. You will be able to make some comments at certain points during the presentation. So it's live and going both ways. It's going to be a lot of fun. Vicki will do a presentation, and she will take questions, and at different points she'll probably find convenient places where she can ask a couple of questions. And there's always the comment section on the Zoom. So if you want to put yourself in line for asking a question, write yourself a little comment on the side, and I'm going to monitor the comments, and I'm going to monitor the flow of conversation when it comes to that. When Vicki's presenting, everybody will be muted, and until she's ready to have conversation. So I'm thrilled. Vicki's been with me since about 2008-ish, 9-ish, and she wows everybody. And we have been working together for a long time. We've been promoting each other, working on each other's projects, helping each other, and we love each other and we believe in each other. I think that that's probably the bottom line. This is going to be a fabulous presentation. It's going to be an expanded and interactive version.
It's a little like high tea, but interactive and themed, like themed. And so yes. I think what I'm going to talk about is, and it's going to be from an astrological and Kabbalistic perspective, but it's not going to be too heavy on the astrology. So you don't have to be an expert on Kabbalah or astrology. If it's just an interest, a lot of really good tools to face 2022 as it comes. And there's a lot, a lot of things happen in a year, but there are a couple of themes, like overriding themes, that I'm going to talk about when it comes to 2022 and what we have ahead of us. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And if you have questions, and it is a pay thing, but it's very reasonable. She's keeping it very reasonable, so as many people as can join us. And
yes, it'll be $20, and there'll be a link. I'll be doing Facebook links.
December 1st
at 7 p.m. Eastern time.
We're starting at 7.
Yeah.
Eastern,
and later on down the line, once we have a couple of programs under our belt, I might start the Metaphysical Network YouTube, and eventually they will all be uploaded, but I don't know when that's going to happen. And the interactive part is the fun part. So don't wait for that. And God knows me and technology, how long it's going to take for me to get that done. So make sure you sign up. And what else did I want to say about that? I'm so excited to bring it to a larger audience. The Metaphysical Network was always meant to be, I knew many years ago that it was meant to eventually go global, and here we are, and we are here. So I've been the founder. I was the founder of it. Anyway, you can like the Metaphysical Network page on Facebook.
Yeah.
I suggest that you go onto my website and send me your email so that you'll be one of the first to know about all the details, because I will include you in my email list, and you'll get all the information easy right there and then, especially if you're not on Facebook. You really need to send me your email address. So if you click on my website, I think it says a contact form. I don't even remember what it says. It's something like, give me your information, or to contact Reverend Denise. You click on that and it opens up and it gives a place for you to put your name and phone number and blah, 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 what you're interested in. It's pretty short. It's easy. You email it back to me, and then I add you to my list. And then, it's easy for you to get the information, because we're dealing with a lot of people from all over the world.
Right.
We want to standardize this as much as we can.
Yeah.
So get on the email list. It would be really helpful.
Let me ask you something, Denise.
Please.
That you do give them a place to say what they're interested in, right? What kind of things, programs they're interested in. Well, that's good, because you know a lot of people. Over the years, you've worked with a lot of people.
Yeah. It'll help me. Your opinion, people, will help me.
That's right. What you want to see.
The direction and the course of where the Metaphysical Network is going to go.
Exactly. Right.
So that would be really helpful.
That's the whole point, right?
I want to meet the people where they're at, and I hope to offer presentations that are meaningful to the most people.
Yeah.
I want people to be excited about this as much as I am, and thrilled.
They will be. They will be.
Yay. So contact me through my website or my email. Vicki can.
I'll put it down in the descriptor.
Yeah. And when I put it up on my page, I will also put stuff in, links in and stuff like that. In the meantime, you can like me on Facebook. I'm Denise M. Roberge. Like me on YouTube. Well, that won't be as helpful. It's nice for you to like me on YouTube, but the helpful thing to do is to find me where I post stuff or where I give information. So my email and my Facebook page would be the best ways to get a hold of me. And have any questions, ask Vicki. She'll tell you. All the answers.
I hope I have the question. I hope I have the answers. But if I don't, I'll send you right to Denise.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
So Denise, this has been a very intense morning, and thank you.
It's been a Scorpio morning.
Yeah, no kidding, right? Thank you for, we had a little technical issues and challenges this morning before I think I had a cup of coffee, so that's never good. But Denise was very gracious, so thank you for being so gracious about our experiencing technical difficulties.
You're worth waiting for, my friend.
All right, honey, you take care. I will see you. Well, I'll definitely see you on the 1st, but of course I'll see you before then. And
yes, let's do something before that.
And everybody out there, no matter what people think or who they are or what they're choosing, don't hold back the love and the compassion.
Amen.
And if you can't find it for them, you can find it for yourself. And when you find it for yourself, it'll be much easier to find it for them. So much love, everyone. Namaste. We love you.
We love